Hello guys. So I want to cover there we go. I want to cover something that I think is so important for both your health and fitness journey, but that is very much underlooked and underrated and just not given the attention that everything else does. So a lot of people will prioritize the training, prioritize the food, and treat that as that they are the only two things that is going to get them the results. Not many people treat their sleep and recovery as important as they treat their training and nutrition. So this is why, and hopefully by the end of it, you will take it as serious. Now, what I'm going to cover is circadian rhythm, stress and cortisol, how they intertwine, supplements that can help with our sleep and recovery, a little bit more on actual recovery, not just sleep, and a little challenge for you all by the end of it. So, why does it matter? Okay, why does sleep matter? Why is recovery important? So, you don't grow physically in the gym. You're not physically growing when you're in the gym, okay? You grow when we are recovering from it. So, you're breaking down your muscle tissue when we're in the gym. Sleep and recovery is actually where that muscle tissue is rebuilt. So, bigger, stronger, that is where that is going to come from in sleep and recovery, not physically in the gym. You're not physically growing when you're in the gym. You're creating the demand for that. It is when we're asleep and recovering that is happening. So if you skip your recovery, all you are pretty much doing is breaking down your tissue in the gym and you're getting nothing for it. You have got not much to show from it. So, truth, if you want bigger glutes and you want your flatter stomach, because this goes for fat loss too, or you're trying to prioritize building strength, you are building that physique whilst you sleep, not just whilst you train, okay? And again, like I say here, if you're stalling in your fat loss, before you start cutting more food, adding more cardio, adding more output, more steps, fix your sleep. Fix your sleep and your stress, because I promise you, you will start seeing changes when you do that. So, if we are not sleeping, not recovering, our training performance is going to drop. Your appetite and hunger hormones are going to spike. That is huge, especially if you're in a fat loss phase. Your cortisol and stress is going to rise. That in itself is a whole nother video that holds a whole host of issues. And your progress and your fat loss is going to stall. So the main things that we're always working on is massively impacted by our sleep. I hate these presentations. I can never click the right mouse. So, circadian rhythm. Our bodies run on an internal clock. It doesn't just start at your bedtime. So your body doesn't just know, okay, it's bedtime, I'm in bed, ready for sleep. It starts actually when you wake up. So sleep and prioritizing your sleep and fixing your sleep, especially if you struggle with sleep, isn't just about your actual evening and sleep routine. It is from the moment you wake up, unfortunately. So morning light in the morning is our wake up signal, and that is essentially why we wake up, and we wake up usually when it is light, depending on the UK weather. Now, 5 to 10 minutes of daylight within the first hour of waking is what is going to set your clock and start your clock as it should. Now, actually getting sunlight in first thing helps spike your cortisol, and that is not a bad thing. We want your cortisol high in the morning. That is what physically wakes you up. If you do not have high cortisol in the morning, you're not going to wake up. Cortisol is the hormone that wakes us up, so we want cortisol higher in the morning. Getting out into daylight will start that, and that is what we want. We want it high, and we want it slowly tapering as our day goes off, so it is at its lowest when we're going to bed, which I will touch on later. So what is actually happening? Daylight in the morning tells your brain it needs to be alert. Obviously, the cortisol sets your 24-hour clock, governs those hormones, especially from a cortisol perspective, hunger and energy all day, okay? That is what we want. Now, darkness, when it goes dark, it signals our melatonin release, and that's why when it's lighter, kind of in the summer, you're not as tired as we are in the winter or ready to go to bed. As the lights fade in the evening, your brain naturally will start producing melatonin, and that is a hormone that makes us drowsy and tired. And that's why some people will supplement melatonin when they're struggling to sleep. Now, this isn't just dictated by the UK daylight night cycle, okay, because it isn't always the most consistent, and it's going to be changing. So in winter we're going to have more darkness, in summer we're going to have more lightness. Now you can control this ever so slightly yourself as well. So bright screens and your indoor lighting is going to delay your melatonin release. So in the evening you want your lights off, your phone off, and that's why people say come off your phone, so your body isn't getting that go to sleep signal. even if it's dark outside, if you're on a bright screen, LED phone, or you've got the TV on, or you've got like daylights, you've got LED lights on, like your top, I say call them like top lights, so them bright lights, you don't want them on. A lamp and dimmer warm lights, fine, but your bright big lights, what people call them, that is going to keep your body still feeling like it's daylight, whether it's dark outside or not. Stress and sleep. This is probably my favorite thing to talk about, okay? Cortisol and your sleep are very much linked. Now, a lot of people stay in this loop. They don't realize it. It's one of the harder loops to fix, I'm going to say, because it's not just here's a pill, here's this, do this type of fix. It is something you have to actively work on. Now, high stress. Cortisol is going to stay elevated in the evening. You can't control when your body is releasing it. That is just going to be prolonged. So when you are more stressed, like I said, this is totally another video on how we can reduce that and manage it. But high stress is going to elevate your cortisol through the day, but then into the evening when we want that drop off of cortisol. Or if you're starting to do like work assignment, or you're replying to something, or something stresses you out in the evening, we can't always control it, but if we can, don't be doing those stressful tasks in the evening. That is going to be spiking the cortisol. Same with very, very late training. If you're training extremely late, coming home and expecting to fall straight to sleep, you're not going to, because you have spiked your cortisol. Now, this is the cycle. Higher stress, you're going to get poor sleep. Okay, the body is not switching into rest. You are not getting deep sleep. Now, I've got a whole other host of this, but quickly for you, when cortisol is high, this is something I've suffered with, especially with ADHD. When your cortisol level is higher, even though you are physically asleep, you sleep right the way through and don't wake up. When you track your deep sleep, it can often be quite poor. Now, when your deep sleep is poor, it is normally because your body's still in that heightened state. You're not allowing your body that full rest, even if you sleep right the way through. So actually tracking how much REM and deep sleep you get is very important, and I always recommend people get a watch, get something that tracks it. And you want really, like, good sleep is 4 hours of deep and REM combined. If you're getting 2 hours of each, bloody amazing, okay? Like that's maximum great sleep, but at least, I'm gonna say at least 2 hours in combination. Now, when we're not accessing that and the body is not allowing to come into that rest and digest mode, you're not getting that deep sleep, that is just gonna increase your cortisol further. So the main thing for fixing cortisol, if you Google how to lower cortisol, it will say sleep. So you see why this is a poor cycle and you can stay stuck in it. So the poor sleep is then affecting your cortisol, and it's the sleep that you actually need to help fix your stress and cortisol. So your cycle repeats, and when this cycle repeats, it's likely mood, your training's affected, appetite is affected, appetite increases or the fluctuations, your recovery suffers, your muscles, your training, your energy in the gym, everything is massively impacted. So the fix, it is not just as simple as go to bed earlier, okay? It's not just get to bed earlier, and I hate when people say this. I've heard coaches say this in the past, I've seen them say it online, just go to bed earlier. Just get a grip and go to bed early, okay? It's not as simple as that, especially if you have something underlying going on or there is that stress response going on. You need to learn to manage your mental load during your day so that your nervous system can actually switch off at night. So it's not as simple as get to bed, because even if you are not managing your nervous system, you're not managing your lifestyle from the minute you wake up, preempting for that sleep, okay, you're still not getting that deep sleep. So it isn't always as easy as just go to bed earlier. So I will never sit here and preach that. Now, daytime habits that we can decide, we can control, and I'm big on do what we can control. So caffeine. Now, I'm not going to sit here and preach about caffeine, because I love a caffeine. I do love a caffeine, okay? However, caffeine has a 6 to 8 hour life. Now, I used to be someone who would say, it doesn't affect me. I can drink a monster just before I go to bed and I will still fall asleep. I will. If I track my sleep, it is very poor sleep. It is very poor deep sleep, even though I will sleep. So if you are someone who is sat there saying caffeine doesn't affect me, I will be the advocate of probably the most energy drink drank in a day, and I had to learn it the hard way of how much that was impacting my cortisol, my stress, and just my general sleep, until I really dialed in and got serious about it. Now, if you're having a pre-workout, I appreciate it when we're after work. It is needed sometimes, and as I say, I'm all for needing the caffeine, but if you're drinking pre-workout at 4 p.m, it's still going to be in your system at midnight. Now, this only becomes an issue if you're someone training really late, drinking that pre-workout, going to bed late, and then expecting to get up early. Your body's just, it's not getting enough recovery. So if that is you, can you either get up earlier and go in the morning, so actually for your health and goals it works better, or have you got the option, if you're going to do that, expect yourself to go to bed a little bit later and expect to wake up a little bit later. If that's not feasible with work, then sometimes, and it is affecting you, it is worth sometimes looking at going in the morning, as awful as that can be when you're not used to it and you're not a morning person, and rechanging your circadian rhythm. Now, making sure we're moving enough throughout the day. Most of you, because you're on your goals and you're doing your steps, you will be doing, but consistent. So what I'll always say is try and have that movement where we can. I know some people's work don't allow, but where we can, throughout the day. Don't just wake up, go to work, sit at a desk all day long, then do all your movement in the evening, all your steps in the evening, because again, that's going to raise your cortisol, it's going to raise the fatigue on your body. The body has to deal with more during your sleep. Same goes as doing it all in the morning, then your whole work day, not doing much later, and kind of hitting your second wind. So where we can, I would say try and split it a little bit more consistently, especially your steps. Steps are like the easiest thing to split throughout the day. Now, your bed and your bedroom, try have your bedroom as sleeping room only. Working, scrolling on your phone, relaxing in bed all day tells your brain that your bed is not just for sleep, okay? So you keep that association separate throughout the day. If you don't need to be in your bedroom, try and not be in your bedroom. And that same wake cycle. So a consistent wake and bedtime anchors your circadian rhythm again, and that is going to be more beneficial than people who bank sleep. And I know I'm probably speaking to some people of catching up on a weekend. If you're finding yourself constantly in the week going, I'll catch up on weekend, you need to fix something needs to change, because that consistent sleep-wake cycle is going to be more beneficial, again, for everything else I've just mentioned, than lacking your sleep Monday to Friday and catching up on a weekend. Because, yes, you're catching up, so the sleep total might be the same. Again, it's not going to be as good quality. You're in the week, likely poor quality, poor deep sleep, not much REM going on. Okay, yes, you're going to catch up a little bit with the deep and REM, but it's still not going to be enough over 2 nights, because you can only hit so much deep sleep. It's still not going to be enough to cover and split your 5 days equally. As well goes, sleeping then longer on a weekend just knocks you off again for Monday, and again, it's that cycle. So try and avoid this, and if that is something you say, try and mention it to me and come up with a fix to help solve that. Now, pre-bed routine, what can we do before bed? This is a lot of like the typical advice that people get given, but again, it goes a little bit further. So food, digestion food, again, is a stressor, and I'll always go on about stress. It's a stressor on the body. Stress we don't want before sleep, because as I just said, you're not going to hit your deep sleep. You're not going to get into that deep sleep, right? There's loads of things that cause stress. If you are coached by me or you've had a back injury or anything, you will know how much I bang on about stress stacking. So there's so many things that cause stress on the body. Food is one of them. So you want your last meal 60 to 90 minutes before bed, so you can digest it and your body is not still trying to digest that meal when it's trying to sleep. Give your body, life is hard as it is, yeah? Give your body one command at a time. That command is sleep. Let it focus on rest, recovery, and sleep, and getting you into that deep sleep. Try not having it digested a meal. However, same goes with this. Make sure that meal is including carbs. Unless you're on no carbs with me, but try have it including carbs, because when we have carbs a little bit later, and I'm not talking loads, I'm talking splitting your carbs throughout the day, the carbs are going to help again balance your blood sugars during the night, so you're not having any blood sugar drops. Now, when you have a blood sugar drop, your body goes into stress. It goes, oh no, I'm hungry, I'm starving, I've got no food. What will it do? It will release cortisol as an adrenaline. Now, that can either wake you up, so if you're finding you're waking up a lot in the night, look at carbs, how much carbs you're having before bed and when you're having them, so that you're sustaining your blood sugars. You're not having that drop off body releases cortisol, and then that is waking you up. Sip on fluids in that last hour before going to bed. Get your water in early. I will bang on, especially this week, about how much water I want you all drinking, but I don't want you drinking 5 litres before you go to bed. I don't want nothing in the day and 5 litres at night. I want it split throughout the day. That last hour, your water should be in. You shouldn't be trying to fit your water in that last hour before bed. Again, you're going to be up going to the toilet all night. We don't want that. The dim lights and that screen time. So I don't just say to people, get off your phone for the sake of it. The reason I'm saying come off your phone is because of the lights and the rays. Now, on an iPhone, you can select on the brightness. If you code and click that, it will say that night mode. I think I would put that on from evening. To be honest, that's what I do now, because I have to be on my phone, and I appreciate some people have to be for work. Put it on the evening setting, and it blocks out that blue light. Get some blue light glasses. You may not look the best, but get some blue light glasses, especially if you are someone who's on the phone, on a laptop screen late, watching TV, or your house is bright lights. Get some blue light glasses. Turn the main lights off. Get some lamps with your screen time. Hot shower before bed. Now, this is going to rise your body temperature, which is going to then force your body to overcorrect itself, drop your core temperature, and that helps trigger sleep. That is an underrated one, actually, is a hot shower before bed. Stress. So journaling, stretching, winding down, having some form of activity in your routine. Again, going back to your cortisol to offload your brain, the mental clutter in your head before you go to sleep. It's going to lower the stress, lower your cortisol level, lower you overthinking or thinking about tasks. What I do is get my diary. I write out my plan for the next day. So time I'm waking up, what my first task is, what time I'm going gym, what time I'm doing work, what I'm doing, if I've got any appointments, I physically write it down. Plan your day the night before. Get it out of your head so you go to bed, ideally with a clear head. Now, if there's something on your mind, write that down. If you're someone who thinks about your day, write it down. I want you working on that. Breathwork, meditation, also great activities pre-bed. I like a breath work. I do like a breath work. Crack a window. Now this goes this week, especially the cooler, fresher air helps your natural body temperature drop, which is going to help with sleep. And that is why when it is 34 degrees, everyone is struggling with sleep. No one, and it's not just because you feel stuffy, you feel uncomfortable, it generally is because your body temperature is higher. You cannot sleep to the same degree, to the same quality, or fall asleep as quickly. You physically can't. So the temperature of your room, have your room as cool as possible. If it's naturally a warm room anyway, have your windows open as soon as you get in from work. Air that room out, or have a fan. Keep your sheets cool, like change your sheets regularly. Have your actual conditions that you're physically sleeping in as optimal as we can, really. Now, supplements. This, I will always say supplements be all and end all, not the be all and end all. The last thing that you should be thinking of. You should not be going, right, can't sleep, gonna get a sleeping supplement. No. Fix everything else first. Fix everything else, then we start supplementation. Now, magnesium, great supplement. Probably I'm going to say up there with my favourite. I think omega-3 or magnesium, my favourite supplements. Helps your central nervous system to relax, and it is an absolute essential for most people. I don't think there's a single person I wouldn't recommend magnesium to. You want your magnesium biglycinate. That is what is going to help with your sleep. For magnesium and ashwagandha, if you haven't got these supplements, drop me a message and I will send you the link for Free Soul. That's where I get mine from. Free Soul has all three, great, and it's the correct dosage. That is the other thing. You can buy cheap supplements, you can buy cheap magnesium. You want to make sure you are having the correct dose. Like, you want, for me, minimum 500 meg of magnesium biglycinate, minimum, okay? Ashwagandha. Now, this is more for a stress cortisol issue. Sometimes I give it for people who have that very overwhelming life, and sometimes you may not feel stressed, but your body is, and you have that chaotic life, that stressful life, you'll go. Ashwagandha is great for that. It does physically help lower our cortisol levels. It's also good to take post-workout or any activity that has caused an increase or spike in that cortisol. So especially if you're training in the evening, taking ashwagandha after your training, huge. It's going to help pull your cortisol down after being spiked from training and allow you then to continue that evening wind down. So if you are someone that goes, there's just no way, I have to go gym in the evening, I have to have a pre-workout, I have to have energy drink, you just have to. I still get that, I do still get that, but get ashwagandha in. Take ashwagandha when you finish that session, and it's going to start lowering that. It just helps shunt it. If you spiked it, helps pull it down. We want it as low as possible before that bedtime. Last resort, now this melatonin, I only normally ever recommend it to shift workers, people who work during the night, people who've been away, jet lag, and kind of for a period where you're very much struggling to switch off. Again, it could be a period block of stress, because yes, we don't want to rely on it. No, we just shouldn't have to take it. However, if this allows you to sleep, taking this and getting that sleep is going to be more beneficial for you than not taking it and not getting that sleep. But last resort, and that you've got to have a reason for me to get you on melatonin. Okay, recovery, it is more than just our sleep. Now, recovery, as I've said before, it's where your adaptation happens. If you're not recovering, we're not going to progress. No matter how hard you train, no matter how hard you diet, if you're not recovering, you are not going to see the results that you want. Recovery is not just a rest day. It's not just having a rest day scheduled in your plan, in your split. It is everything that we do in between those sessions and as well on those rest days. Now, what actually counts as recovery? Sleep. You'll be sick of hearing me say sleep, but sleep and rest is the biggest one, okay? Everything I've just covered. Nutrition and your hydration. Protein, making sure that is high for your tissue repair. Water, I will bang on about that, but it is going to support your recovery progress. Stress management, again, lower cortisol is going to have faster recovery. So getting those walks in, getting sunlight, getting natural daylight, being out in nature, journaling, having some downtime, having fun, okay? Make sure you have fun as well. Go out, see friends, talk, chat, laugh, breath work, meditation, okay? All these things come under your stress management. And active recovery and mobility. So light movement, you're stretching, you're walking, you're foam rolling, not just lying down all day. Because again, yes, that's going to give you rest, but it's not going to help with muscle recovery. It's not going to help with if you're seizing up. So it's making sure every factor is considered. And it's a lot. If you get these nailed, I promise you your results that you're getting will skyrocket. Or if you're feeling like you're plateauing, get these nailed, really treat these as you treat your food, as you treat your training, and you will start seeing changes, I promise. Now, plan, goals this week, mini challenge. So 3, and I want you to pick one, and I want you to send it in the group chat, which one you're picking, and I'll touch on it in a minute, and kind of as to why. So I want you to pick one. You're either going to get 5 to 10 minutes morning daylight, within the hour of waking. I thought I'd wrote hour of walking there, and I thought, Emily, within an hour of waking every day this week. So you wake up, and I want the first thing you do is wake up, get changed, get out. I don't care if your hair's not brushed, I don't care, whatever, just wake up and get out, have water, get out. Don't have caffeine, go out without your caffeine, then come home and have it. Moving me on to caffeine. If you can, cut your caffeine by 2 p.m. Track how you feel come Friday, and you will be more than pleasantly surprised. And another top tip, if you are someone who's like, I need to sort my caffeine out, and for you, caffeine is your biggest issue, cut it off by 2, first thing. If we're going really extreme and you're really trying to fix it, in the morning, have it 60 to 90 minutes after waking. Now, that is hard. I have done it, girls. I have tried this last month, and I did it. It is extremely hard when you first start. Get some decaf or get a green tea, get something so you're still physically doing the habit. And I like a coffee in the morning. I started green tea, didn't do it for me, so I like a coffee. Get decaf, right? I want you waking up, actually getting out, moving your body, waking up, getting your electrolytes in, getting all your supplements in, drinking water as the first thing in your stomach is water. Ideally 500 ml, okay? Go about your day. If you're someone who absolutely needs it, have your meal 1, eat before you drink your coffee. Have your coffee as your reward for getting your morning routine done. If you can and you want to really challenge yourself this week, 60 minutes. Go 60 minutes after waking up, before you have that first cup of coffee. Try and have a meal or something on your stomach first. Drink water, hydrate, get out in the sun. 60 to 90 minutes after waking, then you have the first caffeine. Cut it off by 2, and I promise you, and I never ever thought I would be sat here preaching and saying this, because I was the biggest caffeine junkie, I'm gonna say, in the UK. I was hard. I was having like 3 monsters a day. So I'm not sat here preaching from a pedestal. I totally get it, and I totally get how hard it is. There will be some headaches at times, but if you persist, I promise you, your energy, your fat loss, the second I focus on my caffeine consumption, rest and sleep, my body responded like that. I dropped inflammation, I dropped water weight, and that is not me preaching. That is honest facts. This one, I'm quite passionate about it now, because I was addicted. I would say I was very, very much addicted. Now, build a wind down routine. So if you're someone who thinks, actually it's my evening that I'm really struggling with, build a 15-minute wind down routine. Blue light blockers, dim your phone, dim your big lights, be off the TV, be off your phone for at least 30 minutes if you can. A stretch, a journal, meditation, a breath work, whatever you feel you need. And don't make it extensive. Don't think you've got to do everything. Not everything, because again, if you do everything, you're likely not going to be able to maintain it. You want a routine that you can maintain. So if it is literally putting your phone on dimmer at 6 p.m. and journaling, great, that's it. Just create something very, very basic that you can stick to. Don't do everything that I've mentioned. Pick 2 or 3. I want you to put it in the group chat, which one you've picked and how it is making you feel as this week goes on, or pop it in, check in next week for me. Now, just to recap, small changes, better sleep, better results, get daylight first thing, set your circadian rhythm. Put your caffeine early afternoon. Try having it 60 to 90 minutes later if you can. I promise you, life changing. Supplements, magnesium, ashwagandha, last resort. Manage your stress in the day so your cortisol is dropped and low for the night. So you don't have to force this evening routine. If you fix this cortisol level, you fix your daylight circadian rhythm, you don't need to stress as much about that evening routine, okay? You should be ready to go to bed. Wind down routine, your food, the screens, your light, the temperature of your body. Recovery is your sleep, your nutrition, your stress, and your mobility. Now, let me know in the group chat what it is you're guilty of, what you think is actually hindering your sleep or recovery, if anything, and what is that change that you're going to make this week. What is your challenge to yourself? It might not even be one of these 3, okay? Can I go back? No? Yeah, it might not even be one of them 3. If there's something else I've said and you go, actually, no, that's me, pop it in the group chat. I want to know exactly what it is, what you're struggling with, what you are guilty of, and what you are going to change for this week. We are then going to continue it, because again, 30 days of doing something, you will create a habit, and these habits, they're not just a quick fix, they're not just something to be cool for social media. These are habits that are generally, honestly, going to change your life. Okay, so let me know and pop it in the group chat. Any questions off anything I have said there, shoot me over. Anything you have tried, so if you've actually gone, do you know what, I did that as well, and you've seen benefits, changes from it, pop it in the chat, because again, it's going to help everyone else. And I think sometimes it is underlooked because it doesn't feel as important, it doesn't feel as exciting to focus on your sleep recovery. But when you see the hard evidence of actually how these changes can impact your whole progress, that's everything, whether it's injuries, whether it's pain management, fat loss, muscle growth, whatever it is, when you see how that impacts it, you're more likely to do it. So, love yous, over and out. Any questions, as always, shoot me across, and have a stunning, gorgeous recovery week, please.